All right. Good evening, everyone. My apologies for being late. So, welcome to Sibasi webinar. And for today's topic, we'll be learning about how to grant permission management on SharePoint. Our speaker will be Consolata Gisheru, who is a certified SharePoint expert from Sibasi. So, today we're going to look at just how does it feel and how does it look like to grant permissions on a SharePoint site. So some ground rules, if you have any question, please drop them on the Q&A section and then we'll handle it from there. So I'll hand this over to Consolata and then she can take us through. Yeah, so Consolata.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a lovely time. So I'm Consolata Gisheru. I'll be taking you through permissions management on SharePoint. Yes, so just a brief about Sibasi for those who would be joining us for the first time today. So we are an ICT company who are passionate about delivering the best for you and your clients and creating an impact through the services that we provide. So we have a variety of services that we provide, some from the Microsoft suite, and which will be covering the SharePoint, which is part of Microsoft 365 today. Yeah, I hope you have a fun time with us today. So for the agenda, so as a brief on who we are, what we offer in terms of our services and solutions. Then we'll go on to just having a background of why is it really important to handle permissions on SharePoint and handle them the correct way. Then we'll head on to how to actually manage. So what do you actually set up in terms of the groups, whether it's an Office 365 group or it's a security group, or you're going to give the individual permissions. And we'll conclude with a Q&A session together with some scenario discussions on certain scenarios that would require you to grant permissions in a specific way or in a special way. Yeah, so for the background information, I'd just like to bring you to a very common site that some of us have encountered. So in case you try accessing either a SharePoint site or a resource, you'd get this not so nice user interface, which is that you need to access the site, and the immediate reaction from this, especially if you're trying to access a document or it's something you need to complete or something you need to access to complete your daily tasks, this is the reaction that comes to mind. And to avoid our users having such reactions, or even after reporting to the IT administrators so that they don't get a hard time, it's why we need to actually manage these permissions in a seamless way. So how do we actually manage these permissions? So first, you can assign the permissions to individual people. You can utilize the groups that are created on Microsoft Team creation or SharePoint site creation. And you can also customize by using security groups to manage the access to sites or documents or even folders in a certain site. Yeah, so for this section, we'll head over to now the live SharePoint site and get to see how do we actually manage permissions and these different ways of managing the permissions. Yeah, so this will be our test SharePoint site. So it's a normal SharePoint site, which is actually a private site and not open for everybody. So how you'd first, in case so we have 3 categories of permissions that are by default on SharePoint. So if you go to the settings part and then the site permissions, we usually have 3 categories of people who can manage the site. So we have the site owners who have the read and write. We have site members who have edit rights. We have site visitors who only have read. So if you want to add individual access to a site, you just come and add a member. And if you add a member, you will add a member to the group, which say the SharePoint site is connected to a Microsoft 365 group. So if you add the member to the group, they'll be able to get this permission, the site members limited control, which is the edit rights. So if you want to see exactly what permission set they have, you can come to the advanced. And here you'll be able to see, so the visitors have read, the members have edit, and the test owners have full control. Yeah, so if you want to add individually, you can add a member either from the front side of the user side. So you can just come and add, and they'll be automatically added on the site members. You can also add Microsoft 365 groups, other Microsoft 365 groups. So for example, if I needed to add, let's say, a site that we have the site members for that site, I can choose to come and directly add them from here, though they'll get an email, which I may not want them to have that email. I would want maybe if I want just to share a folder, we can be able to access it without having too many notifications. So what I'd do, I'd come to the advanced side. So how to get to this is just clicking on this advanced. Then when you're here, you can click on members, or in case you just want them to view, you can say visitors. And then I want to add a new. So let's say I want to add, we have a group for Automate. So I'd want to add the Automate members, and automatically it will autocomplete. So this group will be invited. I don't want to send them an email invitation, so I'll uncheck this. So this is under the hide options. So in case you didn't see this, you say show options, you uncheck, then I say share. So this group automatically becomes members of this site, and they now have access to this site. So the same way, if I had my security group set up somewhere else, so where you can actually set up the security group, you can set them up on Admin Center. So if you're on Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and also how to get here in case you're not on Team, can use the 9 app launcher icons, which are the 9 dots at the very top here. And if you're the admin, okay, for you to be able to manage the sites, first you have to be an admin of a site. So you'd come and say Admin Center, and okay, this will by default will take you to the Microsoft Admin Center. And since here we're trying to set up a security group, so you'd come to the active teams and groups, and then you have the options for the groups that you can create. Then it comes in security. Then we'd add a group. So yeah, you'd be taken through this prompt. You click on security, then next. I'm gonna say let's just give it a unique name. So let's say SG for security group. And say permissions. So this is just a test security group. Okay, next. Here you'd have your security group set up here. So yeah, if you want now to add people to your security group, I think it's still provisioning. Yes, it's ready now. So you can come and say, so you want to add the group owners, you can add yourself. So in this case, I'd add my account. Then I can continuously add members as per need. So if I want to add members or I want to add this security group to our SharePoint site, I'd come to the permission test site. Then let's say we want the members of the security group to have visitor rights. So it comes here and then under security group, so it's SG missions. So I think it was wise to do a refresh before I try adding it so that you can see the latest things that have been done. Then that comes the new, then it's the SG. Permissions test. So it's probably taking a bit of time before it reflects, but you can also try and pick another security group that is existing and add it here. So you can add the user test. Groups, and then you say you want to add the security group as a test. Yeah. So, and then we share. So that is ideally how you'd add members who are part of Microsoft 365 groups or security groups, and you can also grant the access individually. So in case I also want to add just an individual person, it will be the same process, and then I'd enter the name in case I want to add the name from the backend. So I'd say Maureen. Yeah, and I don't want her to get a notification, then I'd add her individually. Yeah, and that's the process of actually granting the permissions. So here we've just granted the permissions and we don't have any special requirements. So in the next stage, we'll just go through a few on how to actually grant the special permissions. And we have several cases, so we'll just go through them. And in case you also have any additional case scenarios that you'd like us to go through, please feel free to drop your question in the chat. Yeah. So for the next section, we'll be just over onto the slide that has our first scenario. So our first scenario would be we have a new member that just joined our finance department in the organization. And as part of the onboarding process, she's supposed to be first granted access to the finance site where she'll be majorly interacting with the finance documents and also the overall intranet where she's able to keep up with company information and also ensure that she does not get access to sensitive data such as the people folder on human resources or even some sensitive data that is sitting on other departments. So how to best handle this is first you can choose to, in case you have, I'll just switch to my other screen. So in case you have an intranet and you'd like to, so an intranet will be a communication site. It won't be such a team site. So we want the user, so we can assume that this site is the finance site. You want the user to first have access to this and to also have access to the overall sites. So what you can do is first you can have, let's say, a security group that has everybody in finance, or you can utilize the finance Microsoft 365 group, and that way you can just come and say, if she's joining finance, you can come here and say add members. And since we want her to get a nice message of how she's joining finance, you can just come add members and maybe type her name. So that would be one way of adding her as a member here. So another way would be to, so that will sort the issue for the internal, the site that she's accessing. So for her to get access to the overall overall intranet on the organization, what you do, you'd go to the intranet. So it will be a communication site and add her. You can choose to add her as a member, or alternatively, you can have the members set up. So in advanced, you can pre-set up the members here and say anybody who, let's say, joins Automate as a member is also inherits the permissions for this site as a member. So you can choose to also use that inheritance and ensure that she has the correct permissions. So now to ensure she does not get other permissions to the other sites, that will be sorted out by only ensuring that she has the permissions to the correct site. Then that way she won't have access to any sensitive data. For our second case scenario was on the document access. So we have a folder sitting under the human resource, and that folder is actually sitting in a private channel. But you come to see that in these private channels, you're also able to share to people in your organization. So how would you prevent the accidental sharing of folders with members who don't have access to that folder or to that file? So this is a very interesting case scenario. So how you'd actually approach that is, let me just give you a high level of how that plays out. So it's, you have a private channel. So a private channel, we have their own private folder, their own private files. So we can just say we have a folder here, call it confidential. And we don't want anybody to accidentally share this folder. So let me just open this up in SharePoint. And just to note that for the private channels, they usually create a separate site, which creates tags to the parent site, but it's also it creates a separate site and then it stores its documents here. So we have this document and we don't want members to share outside. So what we do with to the site information, or site permission, sorry. And then we change how members can share. And then for this, you only allow the site owners to share the files and folders. So once you allow only site owners to share, people will not be able to share with members who don't have existing access. So if you save this permission set, only the site owner can be able to share with people outside, with people who don't have existing access. So I'll just save this. And before maybe I save, just to note, so we had the allow access request. In case you don't want people to request for access to your site, you just want them to contact the admin center or the IT admin. You can turn this off and then they'll not be able to send the I'd like request to access please. So it will only the administrator can give the access as per wish. So we save this. Then it will be sorted that the members won't be able to share any information outside to people who don't have the existing access. Then just to conclude on our last case scenario on the permission set. So we have a company that is looking forward to a product launch, and they'd like members of the communication department to collaborate with an external partner in creating the teasers for the launch. So we'd like to ensure that these members don't actually have any, they don't alter with the existing structure that we have been set up, but we want them to view, we want them to add, and delete the list items in the documents. So how to approach this? You would go to the site. So we'll use our permission test. Then here where we have the groups. Just go to home, then I'll show you how to navigate back. So under home, it's just a bit of time to load the permissions. So under home, then site permissions, then advanced. So here we're able to see the different permission levels. So edit will allow our collaborators to alter with the structure. Full control will also allow our collaborators to alter with the structure. And we don't want to give them read because we want them to have edit access to. They should be able to edit, add, and update the list items of the documents inside the folder. So we're going to create a new permission level for them. So how to actually create the permission levels? In this view, we have the permission levels here. So you click on permission levels. Then you say we want to add. So before we even add, we have this permission level that is here. It's called contribute. So contribute actually sorts out our issue of viewing, add, update, and delete without them having to edit the structure or edit the list and document structure. So we can choose contribute, or in case you ever need another permission level, you can just say add a permission level. And then you choose your permission. You can write a permission level name. So just level. And then you can be able to highlight only the permission levels you want. So you can say you want them to manage list. So you see if you check some, it also auto checks some others. So you do this. Say manage list, it also checks the view items. Then if you want to approve items, then they must have the edit. And then we have add, you can add delete and view versions. Maybe you don't want them to delete the versions, so you just allow them to view. Yeah. So you can be able to add this now, the site permissions. So these were we have several categories. So we have first the list permissions, the site permissions, and the personal permissions. So if you maybe want them to have, let's say you don't want them to have views, then you can leave that unchecked. If you don't want them to add or remove personal web part, you can just leave it blank. Then also, this is also a very important one. So if you don't want them to access the remote interfaces, they won't be able to see the other SharePoint designer interfaces in the SharePoint site. Then, you can choose this, and once you have this, you can create and assign. So if it lets them say create, we'll have an extra permission level. Since we didn't give it a description, it does not have. And you can, let's say, now these are the permission levels that you have. So you can choose to, if you want to delete, you're only allowed to delete the ones that you have created. So like the custom permission levels. So the default ones, you're not able to actually delete them. Yeah, so for our group that we had, just go back. I'm just going back through the process so that you can understand how we actually get to that view. And site permissions, then advanced. Yeah, so here we can create an additional group for the external collaborators. So you can say create group. Then, so the company was from ABC companies. You can say group. Yeah, so we have the membership group. We can view, so this is okay. And then here's where the critical part is on the permission levels. So since This one we want to give them the contribute, since they're not supposed to edit. But in case we had customized, so the permission set that we customize is also available here. So in case you want to select your custom permission set, you can select it from here. But since our case scenario needs the contribute access, the contribute test permission, the contribute permission set, then you can go ahead and click on it, say create. And inside this group, you can be able to add all people that need to collaborate from the BC group. And once they access the site, they'll be able to have the contribute rights and won't be able to edit any files. So while we are here, I just want to show you an additional case where you can have all your documents here, and maybe you don't want this folder to be shared to anybody. You want it to still be in the document, but you don't want to show it to everybody inside this thing. So what you can do, you can click on the three icons here, the actions, and say manage access. Then just to have another view, you can just remove the views from here, but in case you want to have an advanced view of, to have a better view of what you're doing, you can say advanced. So it will open up a wider screen. Then you can say first you want to stop inheriting the permissions. Then after it stops inheriting the parent folder permissions or the parent document library permissions, then you can uncheck. Only the owners have the access, so you can uncheck. So we say remove. And then just add the people you want to have the permissions. So you can grant permissions to individuals, to a security group, or to an office respect group, as we had. Then here you can also select the permission levels as you had, as you saw on the other side where we created our new permission levels, and you can assign to different people. So you can say I want only that. Then I want the ABC group to see, so the one that you just created. Then say share. So if I refresh this, we'll be able to see the group that we added or the individual member. So it will show you the type of person or group that you added, whether it's an individual, and then the different the permission level assigned. So if you go back to documents, not everybody who has the access to the pandemic risk will have access now. Also, another thing, if now we want to add individuals or other people to this folder, since we've already done the first time removal of inheritance, what you can do, you can come and just say manage access, and then you can add directly. So another thing also, if you want to now, you report and you say you don't want to have edit rights, you can just say you want them to view and have this small pencil icon with a cross showing that they can only view. Yes, so also when sharing, you can also choose who can share, whether you want the people with existing access or the specific people. But for a member now on the private site, as we had seen earlier, since we revoked the permissions, only the owner. So unfortunately, I'm the owner of the site. I'm not able to see who or how it looks like on the user side. But it's something you could go and try out and see how it actually looks like on your organization. So I don't know if we have any questions so far or any clarifications.
Yes, we have a question. What is inquiring is, can this be used if I want to share a folder to a part of a team? In this case, not all the members.
Yeah, so in case I want to share a folder, so for sharing, you can just say share. And then you don't want to share with everybody, so you just say specific people. They apply, and then you can list the specific people. So here you can see maybe I want to share with Didi, share with Vinny. Yeah, let's see also share. So only them will get this link. They can choose to copy or send them an email on Outlook. I hope I answered your question. Or alternatively, if you only want to share with very specific people, yeah, you can revoke the permissions as we did on this folder, and then add them directly to the folder. Then only the specific people you've specified will have the access to the folder.
Yeah, you answered the question. Yeah.
Okay.
There's not any other question that I can see from my side.
Okay, so yeah, in case you have any questions or any topics or suggestions that you'd like us to cover next time, you can feel free to reach us through our email at info@sibasi.com. Check out our website. You get to see the amazing things that we are doing, or you can also give us a direct call using the number shown on the screen. Yeah, back to the host.
Right, thank you. That was quite informative and quite interesting, especially on the practical part. I think that's all. From my side, I'll just tell you guys to be on the lookout. We will still be having Microsoft Wednesdays next week on Wednesday, same time. So I hope you can follow our YouTube channel and also follow us on Eventbrite. I'll be sharing the links within our social media handles. Thank you, Consolata. That's all. Bye.